Roy Knight here, Roy Bevis, whatever you want to call me. Listen to Sports with Blake. We're coming to your town. We're coming everywhere. Let's be having you. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Sports with Blake.
This is Sports with Blake.
So it's Dan Blake here, the Sports with Blake podcast. We're in Norwich with a man, Roy Knight, Bevis, professional wrestler and boxer. How you doing, sir? Good to see you, man.
Yeah, I'm very well. Like I said, I just come from the gym, mate. I'm raring to go. Let's have it.
Aye, let's have it. We're raring to go. It's a sunny day. So just tell us, the art of wrestling and boxing. What does it mean to you, to be in this kind of martial art?
Well, like I said, with the wrestling, I just grew up with my whole family wrestlers. My dad, my mum, my uncles, my sisters. So that's just the thing we do. We wrestle. Do you know what I mean? But with the boxing, like I said, I got into boxing because later on in my life, because I found that's a good discipline that helped my addictions, and going into a boxing gym, I think, is a good aspect that helped my mind. So I just enjoy it. You've got two men going in there and having a face-off. I mean, that's great feeling, I think.
And your family, you have a strong history in British wrestling. Becoming a wrestler, within the family. Just tell me how that journey's been growing up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously my dad was a wrestler. Obviously, he was a wrestler. I used to follow him around everywhere, and then obviously I come to the point where I was about 12, 13 years old, and we had a show in Lingwood. I think it was in 1994. And then my dad was like, how do you like to wrestle? And I was like, well, I was playing football at the time, so all my football mates came, all the school mates came. I can remember wrestling a guy called Jamie Lee. He don't wrestle no more. And that was such a good feeling. And when I went out of that curtain, I became someone else. I wasn't Roy Bevis. I was, of course, every kid then. But when I came out, I had a lot of, beyond the scenes I'll talk about later, I had a lot of mental health issues. But when I wrestle, all my problems went.
Yeah.
And that felt great when my music played. I walk out, I become someone else. And I just got addicted to it.
Oh, I love that. So it must be such a great feeling, being in the wrestling ring, hitting the canvas, hitting the mat. It seems like, me being a childhood wrestling fan, that's always something I'm just like, wow, that adrenaline rush must feel so great,
Yeah, it's a great race. I remember wrestling at York Hall against Samoa Joe, and when the crowd, 1,500 I think I hold, which chanted my name, there's no drink or drug will ever give me that buzz. I was honestly on top of the world. You look around the York Hall, which is obviously a historic place in London,
of course,
and they were chanting my name over Joe's at that stage, and I honestly was on top of the world. I thought, I'll talk drugs and drink, we'll talk about that later, but there's no drink or drug will give me that feeling. Honestly, the hair stand up even thinking about it.
Yeah, we're definitely getting to the Samoa Joe stories a bit later on for sure. So I just want to break down to the audience, the historic, family that you're from, you're installed in British wrestling history, I would say, at this stage, the Ricky Knight, your dad, Sweet Saraya, your stepmom, Saraya Bevis, aka Paige, if you didn't know her, from WWE, very popular in WWE. Then you got your brother, Zach Zodiac. So you're from a historic wrestling family that's done very well in wrestling and known worldwide and in the UK. Tell us what impact that has had on you in your life so far, but you've also had the movie out, Fighting with the Family, your film portrayed, looking at your family history and how you come up in wrestling. How does that feel to have your family honoured in such a way?
Well, to be honest with you, we come from a council state, so obviously we're all humble people. And obviously when we got the movie, especially the movie came out, that was unbelievable. I mean, I think The Rock was in London and he see a documentary, I think the story was, of our family. Then he obviously, Paige, my sister Saraya, was obviously in WWE. Then he rang, I was like, is this your family? She was like, yeah. And then obviously he made the movie, which felt unreal. You got to remember, we come from a council state called Plumstead, council state area called Plumstead in Norwich. So and then all of a sudden that just lifted off. I mean, I started wrestling when I was younger. Obviously I've been to America. I went to WWE myself before obviously my sister was wrestling. So I'd done all that anyway, but to have an actual Hollywood movie made about the family from Norwich, that's such an unbelievable feeling.
Wow, yeah, of course. And seeing what has been the feedback of the film and from the public, the general public.
To be fair, I mean 95% has been absolutely positive. I think people realise that we're just down to earth people, or who wrestle. When obviously one of us made it to the big league, which was my sister. And I think a lot of people can relate to us because my dad didn't have no money. We didn't have no money growing up. We didn't go on no holidays. We didn't have the flash cars, flash clothes. My dad put all his money to wrestling, and to be honest with you, he was skinning a lot of the time. I was so my sister made it to the big leagues that his obviously federation started getting a look in, because obviously they knew who my sister was, and they obviously knew who WWE was in, and then we pulled grey from there. But for many years until my sister made it, we literally didn't have no money. We started off wrestling in a cattle market in Norwich with 60 people. You could smell the cow shit because the cows were next door, you know, mooing away, and then we went to Carrow Road. You know what I mean? Went from there to Carrow Road, all because my sister became famous, and she Palgraved our company. So we've been very lucky, really, very lucky.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And I want to know, because being a local man, you know, a Norwich man, and I know you've got Norwich tattooed on you, I believe.
Yeah.
So being a local Norwich man, the impact of, you know, what your family's done in wrestling worldwide, and being from Norwich, your hometown, how has that inspired the area?
I mean, a lot more people got into wrestling, and a lot more people, and I think Norwich got well known more. Because you've got to think, my sister's obviously with a movie. She's wrestled at WrestleMania in front of 100,000 people. She's been on TV, so every time she walks out, they go from Norwich, England. So then obviously people look up where Norwich is. So she's probably, we're very humble, but I hate to say, she's probably the biggest name to ever come out of Norwich. You know, which, you know, without being, you know, I was trying to say humble without being arrogant, but she is.
Sure.
So she put Norwich on the map, and obviously with the family as well, she's put us all on the map. So Norwich is really Palgraved and I think lifted since she's gone to America, and had obviously Hollywood movies made about her.
Okay, great. Which wrestler has inspired you growing up? What wrestlers inspired you?
There's only one in the 90s who I really liked, Shawn Michaels is my favourite. I think the way he hit the ropes, the way he hit the posts, and the way he made people look good. I always wanted to be Shawn Michaels, and I did like Dynamite Kid as well, him and Tiger Mask matches in Japan. I used to love watching them. So probably Dynamite Kid and Shawn Michaels, I reckon. And to be fair, British-wise, so I grew up with British wrestling, I like Danny Boy Collins and Fit Finlay.
Fit Finlay, okay. Before I came here, I was just mentioning to you, my stepdad mentioned a few British wrestlers to me. So I'm just I thought I'd mention it to see if maybe you know who he's talking about. He was telling me there was a very famous British wrestler back in the day called Mick McManus.
Yeah, Mick McManus, I met him. Yeah,
oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
Mick
what I'm
McManus.
talking about.
Yeah, he was famous in the 70s on TV.
Yeah.
He was really famous, Mick McManus. I met him when I was younger.
Wow, you met him?
Yeah.
Because I went back and done my research, so I was watching on YouTube some of his matches. And he was a very notorious heel, wasn't he?
Yeah, I met him in Croydon in London at Fairfield Halls. He used to come and watch the shows there.
Wow.
He's obviously getting on there, but he's a lovely man, yeah. Very small.
Oh yeah, he's
tiny.
like 5'6".
Yeah.
And he's actually kind of from my side, but I think he grew up in Deptful, Peckham. He used to kind of fight around there. That's where I'm from, so it's like...
Yeah, his old cauliflower ears.
I like the little hairstyle he had.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mick McManus, shout out my stepdad Malcolm, big up, man. Yeah. And you was the 8-time WAW champion.
Yeah.
You know, the company run by your family. Just tell us how that started, and tell us a bit about WAW, the organisation.
So basically, my dad started in 1994. So we just started off in a show in the Talk, and then Brian Dixon used to run this area. So my dad bought the area off Brian Dixon. And Brian Dixon was a massive promoter who runs so many shows all over Great Britain. And Dad actually said, like, it's my area, can I buy the area off it? So he sold the area to my dad. So that's how we become to wrestle in Norwich. Dad bought the area off Brian. Then my dad built it up. Like I said, we started off with 60 people in a cow shed, which the cow market's not there anymore. And obviously we kept going, and Dad didn't have a lot of money. He kept plugging it into the wrestling, and to be honest with you, I kept thinking, just give up, Dad, but he didn't. And then obviously our biggest dream was, I remember driving past Carrow Road when I was 12, about 11, 12. So I was driving past, I go to school. I said, Dad, we'll wrestle there one day. And Dad was like, yeah, of course we will. I said, no, we will. And then obviously the dream came is we actually wrestled at Carrow Road, and I wrestled my son for the World Championship. Wow. So obviously dreams do come true sometimes.
Keep fighting for your dreams.
Yeah.
They'll definitely come true. Hard work, man, persistence. So you fought your brother, Zach Zodiac, and Saraya was the special guest referee.
Yeah.
Tell us about that match. Now, I watched it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it wasn't the best result for you that night.
No, but, I always do the job.
But it was a wonderful match. I love the artistry. I love the wrestling. I love the moves, the spots. I love the dialogue. You know, it's very, very. I was really engaged in the storyline and the antics during the match. Just tell us a bit about fighting your brother and how that match went.
Well, we obviously were a tag team for 10 years. Obviously, we went to we become the Hooligans. We went all over America, Mexico, and all that. And then we had a fallout. And obviously, we built the match up for probably about 10 months to a year. And obviously, I trained Zach. So he's 11 years younger than me. So I trained him and took him under my wing. So obviously, I know everything about Zach and all the moves he can do. So I said to him, let's have a storyline, me versus you in Norwich. I said, I think that'll draw good. So and that did draw good in Norwich. So I think I went heel. But don't remember work too well in Norwich because I get on with everyone. So I went heel for that one. And then obviously Saraya said, "Oh, I want to be referee. I want to fly in and be referee for this one." I was like, "Okay." So she added even more to it. And then obviously, the rest is history.
Yeah, it was a great match. I really enjoyed it. And you know, when I'm thinking about brothers, you know, fighting, it always brings me back to watching some of the other famous wrestling, you know, fighting families where we had, for example, my favourite wrestler of all time was Bret the Hitman Hart. And you know, he had a bit of rivalry with Owen Hart, his younger brother, rest in peace. And just tell us, did they have an impact on kind of what you were doing with the Hooligans, Owen Hart and Bret Hart when you was growing up? Were they kind of around the inspiration?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, when we become a tag team, we looked at the Steiner brothers, obviously their brothers, they're a tag team. But Bret Hart and Owen Hart, I loved Owen Hart. I mean, Bret Hart, I thought Owen Hart, he wrestled a guy called Marty Jones on British TV years ago, and that was one of the best matches I've ever seen. And I didn't know he was at the time. He weren't famous then. And I looked at him, and obviously when he became famous, I always followed Owen Hart. Obviously Bret Hart's unbelievable, but I think Owen Hart was still underrated.
100%.
When you watch him, he was such a good wrestler. And unfortunately, what happened to him was tragic.
Very tragic. And your thoughts on like the Hart Foundation? I wanted to know, like, and like, I don't know, Hart Foundation.
I love the animal. I did. You know, when he with his old beard and like, laughing like when I was a kid. I obviously wasn't the best wrestler, but his character was still good. Do you know what I mean?
And then like nowadays you've got, you know, other brothers. You know, the I don't know, Usos.
Yeah, the Usos. I met them. They're nice guys.
Because obviously I'm linking all the family. The brothers that wrestle together. So that kind of camaraderie.
Who are the ones from? I always forget the Briscoes. Me and my brother wrestled the Briscoe brothers. God bless, one of them's gone now, but. That was something I really wanted to watch, the Hooligans versus the Briscoe brothers. I wanted to try and get at York Hall. So they've talked about it for many years, and I got it never come off. But that's one match I wish I would have happened, the Briscoes versus the Hooligans, obviously me and my brother. I think that would have been we would have torn the place down, you know? Because the styles would have been good.
So do you think now, going into the future, will you team up with your brother again?
I think so. I mean, Zach obviously was at AEW, he's now not there now. So I was speaking to him the other day, and like, our best years was the Hooligans when we were together, because he's a different sort of wrestler to me, and we accommodate each other very well as a tag team. I think that's what you want.
Okay, sure. So I want to get your thoughts on British Bulldog versus Bret Hart, SummerSlam 1992. Again, linking with the kind of the brother energy. You know, tell us about how that fight made you feel. That was one of my favourite fights of the time.
I think I was only 11 then, but I remember the energy from the crowd. I think it was about 80,000 or something. There was some massive crowd, and I remember being. The atmosphere was electric. And I can remember that I think he sunset flicked him and he held his legs. Pinned him one
roll up.
That's right.
I'll never forget.
And I remember when he won, the atmosphere was absolutely unbelievable. And then obviously his music played.
The music played. It was like goosebumps. Right?
And I was only 11. That was when I was really into wrestling. And that was one of my best memories of wrestling back then. I loved it.
Yeah, amazing. It's funny. It's like, and obviously linking back to a moment that you got to share with your family, Saraya. Coming out to Wembley, 80,000, AEW, winning the belt as well, Saraya winning the title. How was that? Because you kind of basically, I was linking that because you kind of relived that kind of energy and moment out in Wembley.
That was crazy.
With the family.
I just turned up, I am what I am, so I just turned up in like a vest. So I didn't know I was walking out there, and I was just like back in the Raw box or whatever. Then Ryan was like, Roy, the whole family got to go away. I was like, I think I've got a vest on. Like, my brother had a suit on, my son had a suit on. There's me with just a vest on, so I am what I am, you know. And I was like, okay, no, I'm walking out there. I mean, when you think about it, we come from, like I said, the council estate. When we're walking out there, I was looking around thinking 80,000 people. And we're walking out there from Norwich as a family. And I stood in the middle of the ring, and that was honestly, that was a dream come true. For a split, like that was even like 30 seconds, but that's 30 seconds I would never ever forget. What an opportunity and what a great memory for all the family to have. Whatever happened in our life, we're stood in the middle of Wembley, and it was packed, pretty much sold out. And never will get that again.
It looked like a real spiritual moment when I see you all standing together as a family. and I think I saw the way. What really touched me is that I saw your dad walk into the ring, and it's like he punched the air, kind of like it was like redemption. It felt really very powerful. You know,
yeah, I think because my dad, I mean, my dad's very similar to me. I'm very similar to my dad. But Dad just wears his heart on his sleeve. And like I said, he's not. I mean, in disrespect, he's not the best businessman. He's passionate about wrestling. He loves wrestling. He ain't about making money to my dad. So that's why he's never made loads of money with promoting, because he's not about the money. He loves wrestling. So for him to walk out of Wembley with his family, that's all he's ever wanted. You know, it's the biggest dream he could ever have. Yeah. So I think that for him, that was the biggest moment. Because without him, we wouldn't know him to be here. Yeah. So he made us all. So
sure.
Soraya's hometown, a young girl from Norwich who grew up in a wrestling ring, wins the world title in Wembley Stadium. Those tears may dry up, but the memory will last forever.
And this has got to be bittersweet for Hikaru Shida and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. They were embroiled in a battle, not even factoring into the finish of the match, Tony.
Yeah, the pitfalls of a four-way Excalibur, as you know.
And I was watching your match with Samoa Joe on YouTube. Big match, you know, really good match. Like, you know, there was a lot of antics going on in that match. You know, you dropped him with some good moves. And you know, he was trying to get you outside the ring and put you through a few outside obstacles, the guardrails. It was a real physical match, and what was it like fighting Samoa Joe? You know, if people don't know, he was very famous in WWE, big battle with Brock Lesnar, done his thing. How was it, you know, fighting with him, as you were saying, in York Hall?
Like 2005 now, it's 20 years ago. But obviously I didn't know who he was, he didn't know who I was, but I heard he was stiff, and stiff means in wrestling that he was very solid. He gets stuck in, and back then I was known for that as well, so everyone was like, oh, this is going to be a good match. And to be fair, he's a true gentleman. We went in there and we sort of teared it up together, and like I said, I had a really good match. And like I said on earlier, when you had 1,500 people at York Hall, which is one of my favourite things for box. I love boxing. What a venue it is for wrestling and boxing. When you had 1,500 chanting my name out, that's the best moment of my life. Honestly, that was unbelievable. For the Ring of Honor title as well, for the first time in the UK. Obviously, I've done the job, but that was unbelievable.
Wow, well, I really enjoyed that match. So well done on that.
Thank you.
Sure. And are we still in touch with Samoa?
Yeah, I see him. He always said to I said, how's the little nutter getting on? Because everyone think we got, when I used to be outside, I was a bit crazy.
Big shout to Ross. You know, he's here with us, telling me about some of your you know, memories with some other famous, you know, wrestlers that have been doing their thing for many years, like legends such as Jake the Snake Roberts. Tell us about your encounters with Jake the Snake.
Well, Jake used to, he lived in Norwich with me for a little while, so I was living in a place called, there's a council estate called Heathgate. So I was about 20 years ago, so he used to live with me for a little while. And by the way, I'm phobic of snakes. I hate snakes.
Oh my days.
So what he used to do is he used to put a snake in my bag, in my wrestling bag, without me knowing. So I'd unzip it, and obviously I'd come on, kill him. So I hate snakes. So he's always a practical joke. At the time he had drug problems, but he was always a true, like, nice guy. He just had his drug problems, he's over him now. But back then he was struggling a bit. But what a nice guy. I remember him walking through the council estate, and when I lived in flats, everyone just looked around the flats like, is that fucking Jake the Snake Roberts? Just walking through some little shithole estate in Norwich. And I was like, yeah, it is, But because he's bigger than what you think he is. He's about 6'6".
No, he looks big. He looks big.
He's a big guy. Do you know what I mean? But he loved me. He looked after me. Like I said, I travelled around with me. He really did look after me. Apart from putting snakes in my bag, he's a good guy.
What kind of snakes are they? What kind of snakes were they?
Well, he'd have like, I don't know what they are. The yellow one, the big yellow one. I don't know what they're called. It's big yellow fucking the same thing. He used to carry that around with him.
Were they non-venomous though?
That's
what I was thinking. The ones you can put around your neck, they can't be venomous, can they?
No.
Like they kind of do at the parties.
Non-venomous.
The non-venomous ones, they were just like.
Because when you do a DDT and put a snake on it, so with me, I used to always roll out. I said, you can beat me with a DDT, but you're not putting a fucking snake on me. You can give me 10 million, you're not putting that snake on me. So he DDT me 1, 2, 3, and I just roll straight out the ring and fuck you off. No way am I out of it.
Would you let the non-venomous ones come in?
No way, no.
That's the thing is, I'm similar to you. I've got a snake phobia, but one time I was in like a nightclub and one of the burlesque ladies, she had like the snake around her neck. I just posed for a picture with it. I just touched the back of it. I tried to kind of beat the fear. But I was in a club, so if I was in a scenario where I see one, like I'm out of it. And tell us about meeting Yokozuna.
Yokozuna is the biggest man I've ever seen in my life by a mile. and we were wrestling in Scotland, and he said he had to put a leg drop on me, and I was only a kid, and I thought if this leg drop goes wrong, I'm dead.
Yeah.
But that was safe as houses, and he was good. I didn't know him as well as Jake, but he was a good guy. He's a good guy, and he's the biggest man I've ever seen in my life. Yeah.
Big up, Jake. You know, Yokozuna. I remember going to watch Undertaker, Yokozuna at the Royal Albert Hall. So.
And he could move for a big man.
He could move.
Before he got obviously too big, the man could move for a big guy very well. Yeah, good seller.
Yeah, good seller for sure.
Yeah.
Probably one of the most, would you say one of the most famous kind of sumo
Without a doubt.
wrestlers of all time?
Without a doubt, his whole gimmick and everything. He seemed to, I mean, I've seen like documentaries about him.
Yeah.
He seemed a real good guy as well, yeah.
Yeah, big him up. And tell us a few other, stories of some of the wrestlers you met over the years.
Well, I wrestled the Bushwhackers.
You wrestled the Bushwhackers?
Yeah, the Bushwhackers who skid all that one.
Yeah.
I wrestled them a lot actually.
Yeah.
I wrestled at Croydon in London. I was
Yeah.
sold out, me and my dad against them. And that night was electric. They normally done comedy, but that night they went a bit like your sheep herders. They supported the sheep herders.
Yeah.
And my dad said, "Let's have a proper match tonight." And we were the heels.
Yeah.
And we were pounding. The crowd had gone wild. And I remember coming with Butch or Luke, but Butch I got on really well with away from the wrestling side. We done a lot of tours with them, but they were good blokes as well. Crazy, but lovely. Yeah.
The Bushwhackers. Wow.
Yeah.
One of them passed, or?
I've only both gone now, or I don't know.
I think one of them. I think
Butch has gone. Butch has gone and Luke's alive.
Yeah.
I get them mixed up.
Yeah.
Butch was the one. I think Butch was the one. He had real bad ankles even when I was wrestling. Yeah, good guys. Yeah.
Shout out to Bushwhackers.
Legends.
And you're talking about some other WWE superstars you've trained with over the years as well.
I mean, I wrestled obviously Daniel Bryan. He's an American Dragon. He's American Dragon back in the day. I wrestled him. I've wrestled obviously Devitt. I've wrestled a lot of them to be honest. Before they became famous.
Yeah.
Obviously I used to wrestle. They come over here. I used to be like, because I used to really be what I call a bumps man. I could take any bump you want. German suplexes, Dragon suplexes. So I'd come over there. Said, "Will you come and make them look good?" So that was my job back in the day, to make people look good. I was a star maker, not a star.
All right, so speaking of other superstars and wrestlers met over the years, I know Becky Lynch was a friend of yours as well.
Yeah, I mean, I met Becky Lynch and Devitt. We done a tour in France when they first started. Good people. I mean, Becky Lynch reached me. I was in prison in 2006 for a nightclub fight, and she was my pen pal. She reached me quite a lot back then. I think she was a hair hostess or something back then. She was only young then, and obviously I was with her for a lot of years now. She got on to be famous, and she was a real humble. And so with Devitt, two humble people. And they're the sort of people you look at and think, I'm so glad they made it. That make you happy that good people make it to the big time, and them two are good people. Yeah,
That's good to hear. Man. And let's talk about your journey. From when you was inside to now, change your life around.
Yeah.
It's all about mind, focus, and sobriety journey. How are you finding that now?
To be honest with you, I mean, I struggled for a lot of years. I messed my life up through drinking. I've made a lot of mistakes through drinking, never when I was sober. So I had to look at myself and look in the mirror and say, you're the problem. And what is the problem with me was the alcohol. So that had to go. It took me a long time to get to where I am now, but I know I'm never going to drink again. I'm on a sober journey. I'm loving the journey. I mentally feel the best I've ever felt. I feel physically great. People around me feel happier. I feel happier. And I think if you keep doing the right things will happen. And at the minute, life's feeling so good. I know for a fact. I take one day at a time. I wake up every morning, make my bed, brush my teeth, go straight to the gym. And it's a positive start straight away. And I go to I'm not drinking today. I don't worry about tomorrow because tomorrow won't never come. So and things are going so good. I know deep down I'm never going to drink again, which is a nice feeling to have.
And tell us about, not when you're in the gym, you're training, you're saying it makes you feel so good.
Yeah.
What's some of the things in the gym that makes you feel good when you're in the gym?
I just think that when you're into the gym, when you get that good pump,
Yeah, good
you get a pump, you walk
yeah.
out of the gym, and when I do the boxing gym, like I said earlier on, when you got two men having a dust up, you got a black eye, lips up, and they go, oh, I'll see you tomorrow for a coffee, have a cuddle, like proper men.
Back
you know
to
what
the
I mean?
sparring time again, same time tomorrow.
Exactly, and that's such a good feeling,
Yeah,
and it lets
100%.
aggression out
Yeah.
in the right way,
In
the
the
right
right way.
channels.
Yeah.
And gym is my life. Fitness is therapy. I've tried AA, didn't work. I tried cancer, didn't work. Fitness is therapy. That's what I use. That's my therapy, and I love it. I'm going to open a gym soon. I'm going to open a gym for people with addictions, mental health issues, and that sort of thing. So I'm going to use fitness as therapy in that as well. So I'm going to open a gym in Norwich. Hopefully that'll be my legacy when I retire. Open a gym, help people with mental health and addictions, so they can come to me. I can speak from experience. You know, I've messed my life up. I've marriages have failed. I've messed my career up. I've been to prison all through the drinking addiction and mental health. So hopefully I can open this gym and help others. So.
And you know, we're in your hometown of Norwich. What does Norwich mean to you? Tell us about what Norwich means.
Well, I'm a Norwich boy. I absolutely love the city. Like I said, I travel the world everywhere, and I'm always pleased to come back to Norwich. Like I said, it's a beautiful city, beautiful people, you know, and I'm really proud to come to Norwich, you know. And like I said, my sister put us on the map, and Norwich is obviously tribes and tribes and tribes. You know what I mean? That's just a beautiful place. You know what I mean? Apart from our accent, we're good people.
Yeah. And you know, just to double back for a message to the youth, like, you know, because you're talking about legacy and, you know, putting back into the community. You know, you had your stint, you know, away inside. What's the biggest lesson learned from jail, and what would you say to the youths if they're in a bad place and, you know, trying to get back on the right path?
Well, I would say not mask it and get help. Don't use drinking drugs to mask things. Go and get help early. I didn't speak until about my sexual abuse and my mental health until I was 28. At the time then, I messed my career up, messed my life up. I think obviously I've got it back now. I'm 44 now. It took me a long time to get it back. But if you're struggling and you're young and you've got talent, go and get help or speak to someone and go in the right channels. Don't try and mask it through the drugs and drink. I can tell you now from experience, that makes things 1,000 times worse, and you end up in a bad place. So what I say to the youth is go and get yourself help, whatever that may be, and talk, be open, and be honest with yourself.
Sure. What a message to relate to the youth. And you know, you used to be a professional footballer as well. You know, you used to play for Norwich and Fulham. You tell us about playing for Norwich and Fulham.
I played for the local area. I hold all the records for scoring the most goals in the area. So in Norfolk of Norwich, whatever you call it. And obviously I got scouted to go to Fulham. I was there for 3 months for the under 21 reserves when Kevin Keegan was there. So I went there for a while. Then I went to Gillingham. And then obviously this sort of failed. I had a kid young when I was 18. I split up with his mum. And then the rest is history. I just obviously wasn't good enough to make it, I think. I didn't drink until I was 20, 21, and it all went downhill for a few years.
As I was saying to you earlier, man, Kevin Keegan, you know, had the infamous little war with Sir Alex Ferguson, you know, he was like, yeah, we'll have you for taking that title. He was really going crazy.
12 points clear,
that's 12 points clear at the time,
yeah.
Shout out Newcastle, you know, shout out Norwich, Fulham, big teams, man, big teams. And advice for up-and-coming wrestlers as well.
Advice is just take it all in, you know, and I think a lot of wrestlers now, obviously, especially with social media, my dad say you're creating a monster. Don't always believe your hype, just stay humble. Just stay humble, that's what I do. Because a lot of wrestlers come in now, like, when I started and an older wrestler would come in, I'd give him a chair, or I'm a very humble guy. A lot of wrestlers, not all of them by the way, I saw some good guys about it, but I think they believe their own hype, and when you believe your own hype, that's when you go down the pan. Just stay humble, you know what I mean? That's what I say to anyone. Anything, like I've said to my kids, just stay humble. Treat people good on the way up, because you will meet them again on the way down. And my coach always said that, and I always stick to that. That's why I've always been on a level, always humble to anyone. And I can tell you this, the other day, I walked in Norwich the other day with my son, and there's a homeless guy, and he knew me from years ago, and he spoke to me, and my son, he was drunk, and my son was like, got scared, and when I left, he said, Dad, what are you speaking to him for? I said, because people make mistakes in life and people go in different channels. If that guy's good to you, you're good to him. I don't know if you're a millionaire in a mansion or you're living on the streets. If people are good to you, you're good to them. And that's how I live my life, you know?
It's good energy and it's a good way to live.
Sports with Blake.
If Roy Knight here, Roy Bevis, whatever you want to call me, listen to Sports with Blake. We're coming to your town. We're coming everywhere. Let's be having you. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
This is Sports with Blake.
Your sister Saraya, you know, she became, you know, very famous in the USA, you know, as a WWE wrestler, AEW wrestler, also under the stage name as Paige in WWE. Became a 2-time Divas champion and the youngest ever Divas champion at that, and also became an AEW champion. How has it been having, obviously, a sister that's so famous within the wrestling industry? Has that put any? Is it quite? I don't know. You get a lot of attention. Like,
I mean, you do get a lot of attention. But with Saraya, I'm very close to her.
Yeah.
We speak every day. With her, because she's so down to earth, I just see her as my sister. But when I walked in, this is why I walked in London, over the London Bridge, whatever. And I remember like years ago when she first sort of made it big. And I was walking, and I was just talking to her sister. And I remember these girls running across, like, crying and dropping to their knees. I'm like, fucking hell, what's going on here? They're like, oh my God! I'm thinking that's my little sister from Norwich, who's from a Countess. Now what's going on? And then I realised how big she really was getting. Do you know what I mean? And obviously when we go to restaurants and people are going, you know, and everyone was crowding around, and I thought, like, that's my little sister. I only consider my little sister. Do you know what I mean? But she's so humble. Do you know what I mean? She's never forgot her roots, and that's been unbelievable. I still think I'm dreaming. Sometimes I still think I'm dreaming when I think, oh, Hollywood movie. She's now got a new book out. And she's done this, she's done that, and there's so much. I sometimes think, am I dreaming this shit or what? You know?
Yeah, and it's like for me, you know, before I knew about the story of your family, you know, I always thought, yeah, she was a really good wrestler and really believable.
Yeah.
You know, with the storylines that was going on, and very natural with it. And it was good to always know that there was somebody representing like the UK like, in WWE at the time from when I used to watch her wrestle. So yeah, big her up. And
do you know the worst thing of our whole family? She's the one who didn't want to be a wrestler.
Yeah,
that's so annoying. And she made it.
So, but speaking of like WWE, and I want to know some of your experiences with WWE.
Yeah.
So, for example, I believe you tell us about your trial with WWE.
Yeah, well,
how was that process?
So basically, Drew McDonald rang me up and said, "Can you come for trial for WWE?" So I went to WWE. I was meant to do one match. They stuck me in there 3 times, 3 different matches, and then obviously Triple H and what's the
Who
other
did
one?
you fight?
British guys. They put me with British guys. I was only meant to do one, and they said, "Oh, no, keep him in." So I went with someone else. Then Triple H and Johnny Ace or whatever. They said, "We really like you there." I always remember Matt Hardy. I shook my hand, and he's like, "You can," because I can technical wrestle real well, because I've got brought up in technical wrestling. He got, "Your tech's unbelievable." I said, "I appreciate it, thank you." Anyway, so then they said to Drew McDonald, "Yeah, we want to sign him." So he rang me up and was like, "We want to sign him." I was like, "Fuck it!" I was on cloud 9.
Yeah,
I was like, "Oh yeah." I was buzzing.
Yeah.
And then a month later, it all took away. They rang me a month later and was like, "You've been out of prison a year?" I was like, yeah, I've been out of prison a year. I got obviously prison in 2006 for a 1995, and I've only been out of prison like about 6-7 months. So they said, "Oh, sorry, we can't sign you." So my dream was there, and I went, "Bosh!" But they opened the door for my sister. So
can I ask you? I read about that, and when they said you've only been out of prison a year, well, why couldn't you're out of prison?
Yeah.
Why couldn't they sign you? Do
Because
you have some kind of rule where you
I think because you have to have a visa for it takes 5 years to go to America.
Oh, for of course, I know this. I know this. Yeah.
So 5 or 10 years at the time.
You can't go states for
5 or 10 years. So that sort of killed. But how I look at it, I look at it as in that opened the door for my sister in the later years. So in some ways, I opened the door for my family.
Yeah,
so, everything happened for a reason. Yeah.
So you tell us about your son,
Ricky Knight Jr. You ask all the family, he's the best one out of all of them. He's like the Messi of wrestling. He's born into it, so he's unbelievable. He honestly, I watched him and Ospreay. Will Ospreay, by the way, I rate very highly, obviously. They wrestled at York Hall, and I went and watched him. I don't want to watch many matches. I went and watched that. That night was unbelievable. And Ricky was only a couple of years ago. He held his own, and he's only 25. By the time he's 30, he'll be the best in the world.
Wow, amazing. We'll look out for.
We'll look out for him. Yeah, Ricky Knight Jr.
What does the sporting mindset mean to you?
What, as in?
What's the mentality and mindset? What does that mean to you within sport? Like, how important is discipline and
discipline
mindset?
is so good. I know I build my sons. Like I know some people, take apart what counts or all that sort of thing. And be a good loser. I don't agree with all that. You don't go through a job interview. I want that job. Do you know what I mean? So I think that a winner mentality is good, but I also think you've got to be humble and disciplined. That's what I always try and say to my boys: be humble, be disciplined, but want to win.
Want to win. Yeah. That's key. Yeah. That's very good.
You don't get enough for coming second.
Yeah. It's true. It's that humble confidence. Isn't it?
I look in a boxing match, think, "Oh, I don't know how to get knocked out. I want to knock him out."
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like
want to hit and not get hit.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't and just be like, "Oh, I'm just here to try it."
Exactly, but just stay humble with it. That's what I'm trying to say to people.
Sure. What's your favourite wrestling theme song? To get to the last couple of questions.
When I was a kid, that's Hulk Hogan's "I'm a Real Man." That's come on. Yeah. I was like the Shawn Michaels one. That's so cheesy and like so sexy. I like yeah. I just think, God, what we're watching there?
What's that about?
Yeah. Especially when I was like 10 years old. But I also like Bret Hart's as well. Yeah.
Hitman.
When he has the glasses, he's put it in the crowd. Good times.
I had them glasses. Did you?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get them online again. Though.
I think them times are pinnacle wrestling. Probably because I was young as well, but I loved it.
And what is like? I do a thing called a language check. So I need like some kind of Norwich slang that you use, and I'll share like a London one with you that we use. We go back to we exchange slang.
I think Cordelia said. I think she said let's be happy.
Let's be having you.
Let's be having you. That's what she said when she was drunk once in half time at the football stadium, and that stuck with us. Let's be having you. Yeah. So yeah.
I've got one for you now. So if you was in the ring and you had someone coming in, you know, to Roy Knight Jr., you'd be like, look, man, you're coming in my ring, you're looking a bit booky over there with those shoes. You know what booky means?
No.
Booky basically means that you're looking a bit nerdy.
Oh, yeah,
like a nerd with them
yeah,
shoes.
yeah.
So don't come in out here, don't be coming around there with those booky shoes on.
You cut a promo there. Yeah.
You're looking a bit booky over there, so.
I'll use that when I'm in the ring.
Yeah. So I want to know one last question. I want to know that I want to on camera.
Yeah.
I want you to cut a promo. So just cut me the Roy Knight, give me a Roy Knight special out here in Norwich right now.
I think I'll scare them if I did, to be fair.
But you can obviously, you're wrestling me right now.
Yeah.
One day we'll get in the ring.
I wouldn't show, obviously, because there's people in there.
Yeah.
But if I was wrestling you, I'd say, like, obviously, when you cut a promo, you always got to put. I'll just say this: like, when you cut a promo, always put the other guy over. Because when you win, you beat someone.
Yeah.
So if I put you down too much, I'm not beating nothing. So if I start going, oh, you're a mug, you're not going to do nothing against me, you're shit, you're out of shape, you've got a big nose, you're this, that, the other, blah, blah, blah. Well, what am I actually beating? So if I go, oh, you're in good shape, I'll big you up, and I'll say, then I'll say, you know, I'm going to fucking, well, not, but I swear a lot in my, unfortunately, I swear a lot in my, but yeah, I think when you do a promo, big the guy up, but not too much, because when you win, you're beating somebody. And my coach always said that, and that's what I do. So if I was going to wrestle you in May 11th, my return show, I'm going May 11th, I'll big you up and say you this, but I'm going to fuck you up. Make no mistake about it. Yeah. We're going to go mental. It's going to be carnage. I'm going to rip your head off. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Do you know what I mean? I'll be in the hooligan mentality. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'll do. Yeah.
If we're talking boxing, there's this TKO model, whereas UFC have partnered with WWE, and now boxing, for example, you see all the boxing going to Saudi Arabia, all the big fights, they're all linking up under the TKO promotion, Turkey, Al Sheikh, all of them, and there's going to be a cross-promotional thing where there's going to be UFC, WWE and boxing all on the same shows soon. What's your thoughts on the cross-promotions of, you know, all the sports merging together looking like something that's going to be in the future?
I've been asked to do the boxing and wrestling shows, but I don't know if they're mixed too well, because obviously the wrestling show, I've done wrestling and boxing shows, the wrestling show is a family-oriented show, so it's for family, for kids. Well, like, when you go to a boxing show, it's normally lively, it's full of adults. And like, it's hostile.
It's hostile.
So to have a family there and hostile crowd there together, I mean, that's the only thing I think about it. When people say, why do you do wrestling and boxing? I say, because it's two different audiences. I mean, whether it work or not, I don't know. But I personally don't think it will work. But I could, be totally wrong. But I wouldn't take my kid. If my young boy wanted to go to a wrestling show with a boxing crowd, I wouldn't take him.
Well, when you say that, what I've realised, could you see where boxing's shifting quite a lot to Saudi Arabia? It's a whole different culture out there. For example, there's no drinking out there, you can see how the shows are more measured out in Saudi Arabia. It's more calmer energy. Everyone's just there for the sport. Where per se, if those shows were hosted in the UK, it would be a different scenario. It would be more of a drinking culture. So that's what I've noticed with the Saudi Arabia cards when it comes to the sport. It's more chilled out because there's no alcohol involved. You know what I mean? So I think with that sense, because a lot of shows are going out to Saudi.
I think I work in Saudi, but don't you? I don't know if you're like me. I love a hostile crowd.
Yeah, I can't lie. I love the Sweet Caroline. Everyone's going crazy.
When the
I love it because you kind of jumping yourself.
Like this, you're sitting there like this. You know what I mean? I love hostile. Even when I'm wrestling and boxing, I love that sort of environment. Do you know what I mean? So I miss that when I go over Saudi because they're sitting like this.
No atmosphere.
No, I miss the atmosphere.
This is one thing that I think the audience is fighting. It's got better. I've seen the atmosphere.
It's got better.
For that Usyk Fury, for example, the atmosphere was better in the Undisputed fights. We'll see how it goes, I guess. But then linking it back.
I'm open to it.
Then linking it back to wrestling.
I can only be good.
And then you got, for example, some of the wrestling promotions I'm seeing. WWE, where they've got wrestlers coming in from TNA at the moment.
That's right.
NXT, a mix with TNA wrestlers. I think I've seen a lot of AEW and WWE wrestlers going back and forth between promotions. What's your thoughts on the cross promotional between wrestling companies? Is it a good thing?
I think it's a good thing. That's a good thing for the wrestlers as well. At the end of the day, you shouldn't be stuck to one company. You know, you should be able to go. You know, I know it's a business, but if you're a wrestler, I mean, I like to wrestle for AEW and WWE. You know, I shouldn't be tied to one. But at the end of the day, I know it's a business, you have to because of contracts. But I think it's a good thing if you want to go and wrestle for AEW for a little while and go back to WWE and just have a little mix around. I can't see it being no harm for anyone. But I get that's a business for the company. But I like the idea.
And just speaking on that, just as wrestling, and something I wanted to know, as a wrestler, as a job occupation. So, example, I'm a wrestler and I'm on like I don't know if this is a real thing. That's what I'm asking you. Like, if I'm on like a freelance contract, I'm a freelance wrestler. So can I bounce between? I go and do a match at WWE, and I come to WAW, do a match, and then go and do a match at TNA. Is that possible? Yeah,
it's possible. I mean, that's up to, like, my dad back in the day was like, he looked his wrestlers to ask him first back in the day because he was giving him a lot of work, so he don't give him my dad. With me, I've never been controlled, I do what I want to do. So it depends what you do. If I want to wrestle for them or that's what I will do. But my dad was at a point years ago where he's giving people a lot of work, so he's like, look, ask me first. Only reason being, because if you're going to TNA, say, on a Saturday and I've got a show, because you're under my contract, you've got to do my show first.
Okay.
But I've been my own boss. So if you were like me, you just bounce everywhere. Okay. And do what you want to do. Yeah.
It's good to know, some of the business behind, how wrestlers move around. Because I know there's probably the usual format of a long-term contract. For example, to tie you down for. Is that a thing where if I say you get a contract from WWE or something, or your company WAW? You sign people on that full-time contract as well, where you're like, all right, you're tied down for 2 years and you can't go.
My son got offered a contract off what I won't say who, but the money weren't good. So if someone's going to give me $500,000 a year, I'm happy to wrestle for them, just them. Depends on the money.
Depends on the money.
Because at the end of the day, if I've changed my life around, then I'm happy just to wrestle for you. But if you're not going to give me the money, then I'm going to wrestle for everyone else.
Everyone else.
Yeah.
Got you. And right now we're in Norwich and it's a big wrestling week, to be fair. There's a lot going on, and obviously you got one of the biggest wrestling events in the biggest wrestling event.
One,
one of the biggest events in the world, period. WrestleMania week this week, WrestleMania 41. What's some of your favourite WrestleMania? What's your favourite WrestleMania moment?
The first one I can remember is Andre the Giant getting slammed off Hulk Hogan in WrestleMania 3 when 93,000.
He was trying a couple of times before
he lifted him, he fell back. When you watch the match now, the match was actually not very good, but the logic of the match was brilliant. He tried to lift him up and he fell back, and that was all on. He sold his back for pretty much. He slammed him, leg drop 1, 2, 3. But the atmosphere was electric.
I mean, doing the.
That's the first WrestleMania. I think Mr. T versus Roddy Piper was another one I sort of remember when I was a kid as well. I remember the early ones more than I do the later ones because I used to watch them as a kid. You know what I mean? And the Ultimate Warrior in WrestleMania 6 versus Hogan, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah. You know, one of my favourite memories is when shout out to Triple H. Hunter Hearst Helmsley. When Ultimate Warrior returned. It wasn't the greatest match, but it was a wonderful, slam, quick pin. But just having the Warrior back after all those years. It really took me back to childhood.
I loved it, even though he wasn't the best wrestler. I loved his whole. The
whole thing.
Just 100 mile an hour.
But Shawn Michaels Undertaker as well.
They're the best matches, honestly. They're one of my favourite matches. Honestly, Shawn Michaels and Undertaker were unbelievable.
Love Shawn Michaels, Undertaker. So your thoughts on WrestleMania this week? There's a few matches. Maybe I'll get your thoughts on the main match, John Cena against Cody Rhodes.
I rate Cody Rhodes. I think he's a real good wrestler. I do. John Cena, obviously John Cena's John Cena, but Cody Rhodes, I've met him a few times, he's humble, he's a nice guy, but I actually rate his wrestling. I think it's going to be a good match. I think it's going to be a good one, that is.
What do you think of the current female division in WWE? You got Bianca Belair, Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, triple threat match.
I've seen a bit of Rhea Ripley. I like the whole Armenia. I like her. I think she's good. She is. I would like to see her when my sister was like, she got injured. Them two having a little square would have been a little. Been nice to see. You never know though.
But speaking of just to mention Saraya, I've been seeing online. There's been a couple of whispers about her returning. What's your thoughts on this?
I love her to return, but she keeps on the rap sheet. She doesn't tell me too much, but. I love to see a return because WWE is a place to be. That's a mega wrestling. That's the main place to be. And I mean, AEW is fantastic, but I think if I was going to go anywhere, it'd be WWE. And for her to return would be fantastic. But I honestly don't know if she is or not. But she's at WrestleMania this weekend. You never know.
Then maybe the outsiders. join back up, you know.
Yeah, you never know.
I'm thinking the storyline, so I'm thinking maybe you could feud with the Usos.
There you go,
you know,
yeah.
the bloodline.
Yeah. Bring a couple of hooligans
Yeah, that's
in.
what I'm trying to say. The hooligans, let's get the storylines going, like, you know. What's your thoughts on Gunther versus Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight title?
Yeah, that's good. I like Usos, I do. Yeah, I've liked them for a lot of years, and I think obviously going singly, has done him good. So I think that's going to be a barnstorm.
Be a good match.
A very good match.
And going back to the female, there's a bit of rivalry between Charlotte. You know, I believe your sister had, Paige had a lot of beef with Charlotte.
Yeah, I rate Charlotte Flair. I mean, she's get a lot of shit online, but I think she's a good wrestler. I think she'd hold her own now.
Yeah, she's fighting Tiffany Strutters. Yeah, that's going to be a good battle for the title.
Yeah.
Charlotte, I think she's a really good wrestler.
Very good. Yeah. She's honestly, when she done that moon, I remember she doing a moonsault to the outside one time. I was like, I think she's decent.
Athletic ability, good there. And I'm just trying to think, who do you think is going to make a big return at WrestleMania? Because I think like Randy Orton hasn't got a match at the moment, and he's rumored to be having some kind of match with somebody. I'm thinking of a big return. Do you think there could be something special coming in?
There always is, but I can't think who. Like, obviously, Randy Orton's will be there somewhere along the lines, but there's always something special or big going to happen. So you never know, do you?
You never know, do you? No. You never know.
And that's the exciting thing about wrestling, because you never know.
Yes, this is it. There's so much guessing and and ahhing. You just never know for sure. We talked WrestleMania, and I remember, I believe your sister Paige, she beat AJ Lee the night after WrestleMania. At Raw.
And to be honest with you, we didn't know she was going to win the title. So she just said, "Well, I'm on Raw for the first time." We watched it, obviously, just to watch her on Raw. Yeah. And when she won, you can imagine what our household was like. That went absolutely bonkers. That was like carnage. Yeah.
But you know that always that Raw, that Monday after WrestleMania is always something special.
And we didn't expect that though. Obviously, we just thought she got her first appearance on there. And when she won, we went absolutely mental.
This is it. And what's been your Mount Rushmore moment in your career? That's what I want.
Well, most rush moment. Probably wrestling my son Ricky, my junior, at the football stadium in my home city, Norwich. I mean, that was mega. If you could pick anywhere for me to wrestle in the world, and you asked me when I was a kid, that'd be the Norwich City Football Stadium. And I wrestled my own son at the main event for the World Championship. He beat me. I've done the job again, but anyway, in general, that was.
Put him over.
I put him over, yeah. But that was the best moment of my life, and that was hot like this as well. That's my show. But that's the pinnacle of my career, wrestling in my home city at the football stadium. I don't get no better for me. If you said wrestle at WrestleMania or Norwich City Football Stadium, I want to be Norwich City Football Stadium.
This is it.
So that was a dream come true.
I love it. It reminds me of say Tony Bellew. He said fighting at Everton was his favourite moment. He'll never beat it. So that reminds me of that, and I understand that emotion. So
honestly, I can remember my music fan. I was walking down the ramp into the stadium, and I just thought, this is unbelievable. I used to drive past with a kid and say, "We'll wrestle there one day, Dad." Do you know what I mean? And we did, and that was honestly that was a dream come true.
So that was going to lead into my next question, but you kind of answered it. So that will kind of be your legacy in wrestling. How do you want to be remembered, like your legacy?
I just want to be remembered as someone who went in the ring and give 100% every time I went in there, whether there's 30 people in the crowd or 3,000 in the crowd or 30,000. I always want to be remembered. When I went in there, I'd give it my all, because they paid money to see me, so I want to go in there and give it everything I've got. So hopefully when I retire, people will say, as every kid, Roy Knight, hooligan, he was a bit of a nightmare out there, but in the ring, it was quality because he always give 100%.
And what would you say is what's next for you?
Next for me, I think I'm going to have a couple more years of wrestling, then I'm going to open that gym for addictions and obviously mental health, and we're opening up a gym for fitness and therapy. So my next stage of my life is to help people who struggle like myself, so I don't have to mess up the things I did. Like I said, I've had broken marriages, been in prison, all that sort of stuff, and hopefully I can help people not to make their mistakes. So through this gym, they can come and I get a little cat beside it. They come and talk to me, have a little bit of a session because it's good for your mind. And hopefully that'll be my legacy as I get older.
Sure, amazing. Thanks for joining us on the Sports with Blake podcast. We really appreciate your time, and it's been amazing just spending some time with you in Norwich, in your hometown, catching up, chopping it up about wrestling, boxing, football. It's been a pleasure, man.
It's been enjoyable. I appreciate you coming down.
All good and love, and let people know where they can stay in contact with you on the social medias online and that kind of thing.
Well, obviously I'm on Instagram, but I don't know what my Instagram reading is. But obviously you go on Roy Knight or Roy Bevis on Instagram. Follow my journey, the sober journey, wrestling show, football journey, boxing journey, and it's nice.
Any last words of wisdom for all your fans and supporters?
No, I just say at the end of the day, just keep it real, ready, and keep it humble, and like I say, just just enjoy life. Life's too short to be miserable. Enjoy life.
Yeah. All right, we're out. Roy Bevis, Dan Blake. We're in Norwich, and it's been Sports with Blake podcast. We'll catch you soon. Maybe next time you'll catch us in the ring together.
Rabbit.
All right, peace out.